So, franchise tag deadline today, moving right along. So far, Pickens and Kyle Pitts Sr. have been tagged. The Colts are reportedly trying to get Daniel Jones signed to a new contract before the deadline. It's 2023 all over again.
That's crazy.
When it was Jones and Saquon Barkley, it's Jones and Alec Pierce in Indy. And remember, they wanted to get Saquon signed to a long-term deal and tag Daniel Jones because they still weren't sure about Jones. They didn't pick up his fifth-year option. We're just going to tag him. We'll give it another year. And they couldn't get Saquon signed, so they got Jones signed. Remember when people lost their shit when people were like, hey, Daniel Jones wants $40 million a year, $40 million a year. He doesn't. And he almost got like $40 million a year. He was up near $40 million. And then they tagged Saquon, and the next year they were done with Jones, and Saquon was gone. So that completely blew up on the Giants, and now the Colts are trying to avoid the same thing. I don't know that they'll. I don't know. Are they going to tag Alec Pierce? I don't hear much talk about him.
That's the
interesting. It's all Jones.
Right.
But why would they be rushing to get a deal done with Jones unless they just don't want to have to expose him to the market and they got to figure out what the hell are we going to do here if we don't get this deal done? Are we using franchise tag? Are we using transition tag? Or are we just going to say go to the market and see what's out there?
Yeah, the Alec Pierce conversation is real, right? And I think there is some people in the NFL also that kind of think that maybe Michael Pittman Jr. there in Indianapolis could be on the move or in some way or capacity. I know I heard that from a few people around the league. But yeah, Alec Pierce is interesting in that Colts conversation. Now, he might be the opposite of what you said, where you're like, damn, he's a good player, but do we want to franchise him and give him the $27 million for 1 year? That might be a little bit more than what the Colts want to do. But, like, people got to realize Alec Pierce is going to get a big number on the open market. I mean, Alec Pierce is one of the best down-the-field explosive receivers in all of football. I mean, it's, 2-3 years in a row he's led the NFL in average yards per catch. It's up there. It's right at the top of the list for sure. And as we've heard and what I know from people in the league, and we heard Jesse Minter say this to us last week, and this, again, it goes back into our running back conversation. The turnover battle has become less of a stat to tell you who's going to win the football game. The biggest stat in the sport right now that dictates who wins football games is explosive plays. Right? How many times this year did we come in and go, damn, this team turned the ball over 4 times, this team turned the ball over 1 or 2 times, but the team that turned it over 4 times won the game. I mean, it happened this year more than I can ever remember. So there's great value in those type of guys. But the Daniel Jones conversation is really interesting with the Colts all wrapped up in this Alec Pierce thing, too, just because – right? Even and I know you're actually about to say this. I'm just going to add this on to what Jonathan Jones of CBS is reporting, that Minnesota might still be interested in Daniel Jones too. That's got to scare the crap out of Indianapolis that way. So that's also probably part of what do we do here in this situation as we, come close to the tag deadline?
Think back to last year. The Vikings had Darnold and Jones under contract to end the 2024 season. They were thinking about benching Darnold for Jones in the postseason. They never got to the point where they could. But if they somehow would have beaten the Rams with Darnold having an off night, which is a tough needle to thread.
Yes.
Because if your quarterback's having an off night, kind of hard to advance in the postseason. But Jones may have been the guy in the divisional round. And they activated him for a reason. He was practice squad. They put him on the active roster late in the regular season for a reason. So they wanted him last year to stay.
Yeah.
But he thought Kevin O'Connell was going to work his magic with J.J. McCarthy. I'm not winning that job. I got a better chance of winning the job in Indy. He took the contract in Indy. And now, if they don't get him signed, he could say, you know what? I kind of liked it.
Yeah.
Kind of liked it in Minnesota.
Right.
Kind of liked it with Kevin O'Connell. I kind of like that defense they have. I kind of like that stadium. He was there long enough to make an informed decision. This is different from the usual free agent. We talked last week about the Steelers' proposal to let teams have video or phone calls with up to 5 free agents during the 2-day negotiating window because it's all done sight unseen. You're ordering from a catalog. You don't get a chance. And the player doesn't get a chance. Well, Jones knows the Vikings, and the Vikings know Jones, so both sides are far more informed than they would be if Jones is looking at any other team beyond the Colts and the Vikings.
That would scare me if I was the Colts. You said it right. Hey, we're the Colts. Shane Steichen's the man. Now, Daniel Jones, by everything we know, is going to have the red carpet to be the starter with the Indianapolis Colts. So that's the good thing. And you got Shane Steichen, and hopefully they can keep Alec Pierce. And we know they got the tight end, Ty Warren, last year, and Jonathan Taylor. So there's a lot of good pieces there. You go to Minnesota, hey, yeah, it's Kevin O'Connell, quarterback whisperer. We know he's awesome, too. Justin Jefferson, Jordan Addison, holy crap, T.J. Hawkinson. Wow, you got some things working there for you. But you got the gamble of what you talked about if you're Daniel Jones and you put yourself in his shoes. I'm not totally myself with my Achilles. I'm just not quite myself. Oh, man, now J.J. McCarthy's kind of beating me out in practice a little bit. Now you lose the risk of not being the starter unless they make a financial commitment to you that says you're the starter. And that's the other side of this story that I find interesting. And I don't know a lot about this behind the scenes as of we sit here right now. But what Jonathan Jones is reporting from Minnesota, to me, yeah, the Daniel Jones, will the Colts tag him? Would Minnesota want him? Yeah, that's a big conversation. But for Minnesota to go or want to go after Daniel Jones is also a big story in the fact that it kind of goes, wait, if they really want Daniel Jones, they're going to get him. They're going to sign him to big money. And that kind of means like they don't have the faith in J.J. McCarthy, and he's going to be the backup. They're not going to pay Daniel Jones $35 million to become the starter and go, hey, battle it out, with let's you might lose and be the highest paid guy on the team, but you might be on the bench. That if they do that, they're going to get eviscerated by somebody like me because that's horrible team building again. Ding, ding, ding. The Atlanta Falcons, it's Kirk Cousins drafting Michael Penix, just stupid. Boom, all of that. So that, to me, is the other part of this story that my eyes pop to go, man, that's saying something. That's something there with Minnesota and their situation as well.
Well, and that's the reality when it comes to the potential approach here for the Vikings. Do you acquire a new clear number one starter, or do you get Anthony Richardson? Do you get
There's a difference there.
Tua Tagovailoa?
Yes.
That name's been out there.
Right.
Do you get a guy who will truly compete with J.J. McCarthy, and you hope that the competition causes one of them to step up? You're taking the chance that neither will.
Yes.
When you go out and bring in Daniel Jones or Aaron Rodgers, if it would come to that.
Then that's
somebody who's clearly a free agent who chooses to go there, and the contract reflects it. Remember 6 years ago when we talked about the Phillip Rivers contract? Like Phillip Rivers, Tom Brady, Drew Brees all getting $25 million a year. Why the hell did the Colts give Phillip Rivers $25? Well, you got to give the quarterback a contract that's like, a lawyer can't be driving around a shitty car like Saul Goodman was. You got to have a certain vibe in the locker room. If they give that contract to a newcomer, a free agent, he's the guy.
Yeah.
And JJ isn't.
Right.
And it makes you wonder what happens next. Like, do they trade him to Jim Harbaugh to be the backup to Justin Herbert?
It is interesting. But yeah, those are just little warning signals. And like I said, I'm not in the know here. I don't know what's going on. But when I hear things like that, my thing is, the organization's not sure about J.J. McCarthy. That's different. Daniel Jones, Aaron Rodgers, as compared to, like you talked about, Tua, Mac Jones, those kind of guys where it's hot poker on your butt. You got to be on your game, but you can still be the starter, and we think you still will be the starter. The other guys, it's like, you're not the starter anymore. We don't believe in you, and you need more time to develop. And that, to me, is pretty big news when you're talking about a top 11 pick in the draft.
Well, I think it's a given that they're not sure about him. The question is, are they done with him?
Yeah. I guess that's a better way to say it, Mike. You're right.
I'm not sure about him. I don't think any Vikings fan, anybody that watches that team is sure about him. I don't think anybody in the building is sure about him. Kwesi Adolfo-Mensah is gone in part because he was too sure about J.J. McCarthy last year. This is, how are we going to try to get more out of him? Do we do it through competition, or we just say, screw it, he's benched, he's done? We'll keep him around because it's cheap relative to the quarterback veteran backup market, or we'll trade him if we can save a little face here. Now that the guy who picked him is gone, there's less of a political desire.
Yes,
let's
agreed
keep him
there.
just in case, and let's not give him up for a 4th-round pick or a 5th-round pick and admit to the world we screwed up, which is always the best way to go, frankly. If you make a mistake, don't double down for PR purposes. Just get the hell out of it. But that's why I'm like, oh boy, this could be You don't even get a chance to compete. Hey, JJ, you haven't done enough to even earn a chance to compete for the job that was handed to you a year ago. That's where this could be going.
No, it could be. I'll be definitely interested to see what happens here over the next week. But this Daniel Jones Colts, I would have a hard time thinking that they want to let him out the door and even test the markets that way and see what happens. So they want to keep him. And ultimately, I still think it's the best situation for Daniel Jones, especially coming off an Achilles tear. You're at a spot where they obviously like you. They're invested in you. They've been pretty much like straightforward from the get-go of saying, we want him back. We want him to be the guy. So within that, I still think that's the best spot.
They're desperate to stop the revolving door.
Yeah.
They're in the nonstop quarterback revolving door, and they finally found a guy that can stick around. And they're going to potentially lose him to free agency after 1 year.
Right. They don't want that to happen. So we'll see. And the Colts, as we know, are close. They really are. Yeah, they took some tough breaks last year, tough part of the schedule when they went through one of the worst, down or slumps of the year for them. It all kind of worked against them. But I still, would I be shocked if they were back in the playoffs or in the playoffs this year coming up? No, absolutely not. We know that. So, yeah, that's going to be, we sit here right now with 2 franchise tags in Pickens and Pitts, and I really sit here and go, I don't know. This is one of those years, it doesn't feel like there's going to be another one other than maybe Daniel Jones. I don't think there's going to be anybody else franchised. Do you, Mike? Do you see anybody on the radar that you think, or maybe Breece Hall, just to get a contract done?
I don't think he'll be franchised.
But,
I think he'll
exactly.
be transitioned.
So as we sit here now, I feel like the franchise tag is done. As we watch it, I think it'll only be those 2 with, let's see what happens with Daniel Jones, and can they work something out here in the meantime before they got to use that lever to their advantage.
There were 2 last year, and it was the lowest since 2006, I believe. The high is 20 in 2012, the year that the cap didn't go up very much, so the tags didn't go up very much. So it was the first year of that new calculation. So, hey, this is pretty good.
Yeah,
let's use this tag. It's a lot cheaper than the market. But, I think you're right. Hi, it's Mike Florio. Thanks for watching PFT on YouTube. Hit subscribe for the latest news and analysis from Pro Football Talk.